And he was prolific that way. That's what makes it so crazy, man, that this dude just could, and with no effort, could just do so much in so little amount of time. You know, for many of us that try to write, I mean, I go through lots of long stretches where it's like, I ain't feeling nothing, man. I'm not hearing anything. It's like writer's block. He didn't suffer from that too long. His writer's block probably lasts about an hour or two. So like he could just turn it on and do it, man. I mean, it's, and, you know, of course, everything wasn't Purple Rain. Everything wasn't like, but it was still amazing, man. It's just like, that's when you know, like, it's just certain cats come through the game, Michael Jackson and him, and it just you know that they got something, and they got a whole nother thing. They're operating on a different frequency than most mortals, and it's just like for me, just to be around that kind of energy, because I tried many times to just go home and just try to replicate what I saw. I can't do it. Obviously, I don't have those hits. I mean, and neither does a lot of the other people that were around. You know, you got Terry and Jimmy that did well. You got Andre did well, and some of the other cats, you know, Sheila did. You know, but it's just a few people who've actually been able to replicate after even being around that cat, because he just had a special gift, man. It's just like he had something. It just got shut. God shut it down into him, and it just went in there and pow. It just went in that. And Michael Jackson said it best. You know, I saw this thing when Michael said, he said, well, I always felt like when I go in there, I have to, when I get something, I have to do it then, or else God's going to give it to Prince. That's what Michael said. You know, and he was right. It's just like, you know, I don't think that God would just, you know, say, but I get what Michael was saying when he said it, because he said, if I feel like if I don't do it, that he's going to hand it right over to Prince. You know, and I thought that was really funny, because I said, I can see how he would say that. I can totally dig why he would just say, I got to do it, or else Prince is going to get it. Because he knew that that dude was operating on the same frequency, and it'll just, that energy just hop skip right over to him. I completely understand why he said it, you know, and it's true, because Prince was such a vessel, man, that all of that talent just could flow through. It just, all of that stuff just came through him, man, just like water off a waterfall, you know. It's just crazy like that.
You know, I think also another amazing aspect of it is just his evolution musically. So, you know, like, it wasn't until I think his 5th album, like 1999, where you heard his actual singing voice. He was doing all falsetto before then. And for a while, he was making like what I thought were quantum leaps in musicality, you know, from one record to the next. And he kind of stopped doing that, you know, with like every release eventually. But still, I think his playing and his musicianship continued to just evolve. And I'm just curious, you know, in the time that you were there, did you see that kind of evolvement? Even though he was at such a level, he still kept adding to it, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, I just saw that from the time I got there. You know, it was just like he just kept elevating, man. Just when you think you saw him do something that you was like, you can't top that, then he would top it. You know, it just was like, where does he get it from? It's just like, it's crazy. And so I totally understand what you're saying. And it's like, you know, but he kept expanding his mind. Prince was, I don't know where he got the time. I guess that's the whole thing. He didn't sleep. And he was just this constant study machine. He was online all the time. Like, he was like, he was like the Matrix. He was just like downloading and uploading in his brain all of this stuff. And he just would just keep expanding. I remember asking him one time, I said, Prince, what do you think you're the best at? I said, what do you think if you had to pick what you're the best at? And he said, well, as I said, because you can do all of this stuff, man. You play bass good enough to be a bass player in somebody's band. You play guitar good enough to do it. You could have been a dancer. You could have done any one of those things. And he said, yeah. He said, you know what I think, Marsh? He said, I think I'm the best at lyrics. I'm a songwriter. I'm a poet. At the end of the day, I'm a poet. And he said, I just think people don't read anymore, man. He just said, and so he said, but at the baseline, I think that's what I do best. And I said, you know what, Prince, that's funny. I think that's exactly right. You can go through whatever era, and you may not like the keyboard sounds you use or this era sounds or whatever. But if you peel away the music to any of his lyrics, the lyrics stand on their own. I don't care what era you come from, whatever it was, they're still crafty. They're still, even they can be raunchy, like, you know, Good D in a Job or whatever. That's the name of one of the songs from a joke that Chris Rock told. It was kind of rough, but he was clever though still. He was always clever in how he constructed his lyrics and how he could do that part. And I always thought that was the best thing that he brought, was his lyrical content and what he did with that. He was always ingenious with that. Because he told me, he said, I hate bad lyrics, man. He says, one of my pet peeves, man, I hate bad lyrics. Can't stand it.
Or lazy lyrics.
Yeah, exactly. And that was just was a thing that he said used to bother him a big time. He said, because nobody reads anymore. Nobody understands poetry. They don't read poetry. They're not learned like that. And so for me, I was like, yeah, man, I can totally see that. And I think that was one of the things that he always strived to do. He always write something. And when I look at it, and I remember he had us all printed out a book of his lyrics and stuff. Like I got this book, this thick thing that's got all these. And I just remember reading through it and just like going like, how crafty is this, man? Just, some of the stuff I had been playing for ages, not really paid attention to it like that because I was too busy working on music, and I just kind of read it, and you just go like, wow, so that's what that means. It's like, okay, I get it now. Because some of the stuff I have to admit, man, I don't know what he's talking about. I'm like, butterflies and zebras. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just a simple dude from Arkansas. I don't understand what he's talking about on that frequency. Maybe it's over my pay grade, man. But that was the thing. It was just some of the stuff made you think. It was very cleverly done, and you just kind of got the vibe from it. It's kind of like this. It was just fascinating, man. Just how it all would kind of like kind of turn, and it was just like it was really amazing, man, that he was able to do that and do everything so well. And I think that was the thing he was always looking to do, was to expand. And so he would see players, and he wasn't, the other big thing, man, he wasn't afraid. He wasn't afraid to try something. He wasn't afraid, and someone was like, well, he shouldn't rap, he shouldn't do this. And he's like, man, I'm going in. I do it the way I do it. You know what I'm saying? He was just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try it. Ain't nothing too big for me to give it a shot and do a foray. I'm just gonna do it with my flavor on it. And that's what he would do. And so, man, I think that was a big thing. And he always wanted to expand. We used to listen to stuff, and you could kind of tell when he's been listening to some Robert Johnson or whatever, whatever it was, you could tell, because that would be an influence in some of the music. You can tell when he was been on the Carlos bench, listening to Carlos Santana, you can kind of feel it. I remember when we did the song, When I Lay My Hands on You. And it's just like, it just sounded like he just channeling Carlos, man. It was just crazy. The sound, the approach, all of that, man. And then some other stuff is like Hendrix. It's like he just like, it's Jimmy Day. And it's just like you just feeling channeled because he probably been on a Hendrix bench. And it's just like you can feel it, like Xana Lee and some other different stuff that we were doing around. It's just like The Ride and all this other kind of stuff where he's singing the lines that he's playing on his guitar. And it's just like he just constantly was just moving the game up, constantly stepping up the situation there.